I'm Kelly McFarland, and I'm here today to introduce you to my blog on farming and food research. I first would like to introduce myself. I'm an applied cultural anthropologist who specializes in food and farming. I'm a mother of three. I was a single mom when my eldest was born for the first 5 years of her life. And so those experiences do inform on the research that I do. I'm also pretty crafty. I like to make things and be artsy. I'm also a baker, and we own a small farm, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But for right now, I kind of want to talk about the purpose of this blog, which first of all, it creates a greater platform for me to share my research. Being a non-traditional college student, I actually am constantly battling with this idea of access and how we have all of this research and this knowledge that it's not getting out there to people. And so while it's fabulous that I'm going to be writing a thesis and being published within college textbook type setting, I'm also trying to share this knowledge that I'm getting with a general public so that we can all kind of benefit. I'd also like to use this blog as a platform to talk about what anthropological research is. Anthropology altogether is a bit of having a crisis of knowing. Many people, if you tell them you're an anthropologist, they think of either Indiana Jones or maybe Jane Goodall. And while we are archaeologists and sometimes we do study primates, there's also such a thing as a cultural applied anthropologist, which is what I do. What we do is we work on the ground with groups of people, and we develop interviews from working with people, and so those are called qualitative interviews in depth, and we participate with those people in their activities so that we can kind of get to an insider perspective of what's happening. From that, we'll draw theory and kind of talk about the experience in a more abstract manner when we write, but everything is grounded in our experiences. And so the applied part of that is that when we're working with these different groups of people, sometimes we'll do exploratory research where we look at a problem and we try to figure out how to study it. Sometimes we'll do evaluations of programs that we've seen, or sometimes we can amplify what a group is doing and help to promote the benefit of the group and provide more information to others. And so this is kind of what I'm doing with this website and with the blog that I'm creating. And finally, we'll also work between two groups of people to aid in understanding on both sides. And so that's another kind of facet of this blog, is that I would also view this as a kind of rejoining food and farming and the consumer with the farmer. I also want to use this platform to share the types of research that I've done and that I want to do, maybe not necessarily into farming at all points, but there's a lot that can be learned. My original research was in undergrad. I called it Food Tastes, and I sat with families at the family dinner table, and I experienced how they went through dinner, from taking out everything in order to start preparing dinner until the final cleanup of the plates. And through that research, I really found a lot out about how fast dinners have to kind of go in weekdays with kids in school and things like that. And then also what is discussed at the dinner table and what parents struggle with. After that, I've done a lot of research projects, but with food, I did research into the UNT food pantry. There was a study that was done on an evaluation of pantry recipients and how much they rated the pantry, how well it did. And so I participated in this evaluation, and I learned a lot of very interesting things about access and college access to food. And then I also just have an overall interest in food access, nutrition, foodways, and sustainable agriculture. Currently, my research is into the local farming in North Texas, local food farmers. That's kind of the best way to put it. These are farmers that grow food and sometimes create products, and they sell that into a consumer base that is no more than 150 miles from their farm, and so that's what makes it local. Right now, I am working on presentations with that. I have collected all of the data. I originally met Sue Newhouse from Aunt Sue's Barn, and that was just really a fortuitous event for me to meet her, because through her and finding out that she was interested in research, we came up with this great research idea of what does success look like. And after we came up with the idea, Sue was willing to be my first participant and help me to find more. And so we've looked a lot on ideas of success, but through that, I've figured out how the local food and farming networks work. And there's a lot that I can say about that in these blog posts. So that's one of the things. And then later on, as I get further into explaining all of this food network and the local food network, I'd like to talk a little bit about the theories that I've found, but that's, further blog posts into the future. And then also the final thing is this blog is for the purpose of educating others. So people like me who have no experience in farming and are just really kind of wondering what happened to our food system. I've been studying food this is my 8th year studying food. I would highly recommend a course that you can take online through the University of California, Berkeley, called Edible Education 101, that really upped my game in understanding just how everything works and all of the many, many problems in the food system. The first probably 4 years of me studying food was spent heavily depressed about how everything kind of looks. Luckily, in my farm research with local farmers, I have found the positive, and that is another reason why this blog is such a great thing, is because there's solutions. There's many, many solutions that we can find here. I bring an outsider perspective to farming, and so that helps to bridge the gap between the farmer and the non-farmer. There's a lot of things that I learned that I asked about in interviews where the farmers I was asking kind of acted like that was second-hand knowledge, and they learned it when they were little kids, and that's not really a big deal. But to me, it was a huge deal. And then there's so many lessons that there are to learn. I would recommend that anybody who is new to farming join as many groups as you can that educate about how to take care of animals or plants. I didn't even think about this when I began farming, and through my interviews with other farmers, I had it suggested that I should join social media groups, and when I did, I learned a very valuable lesson. We had ducks. A lot of people get ducks from feed stores during Easter, and I was not giving them adequate nutrition. They need niacin in their diets, and I had no idea that my ducks were malnourished. But through joining these groups, I learned that you can actually just feed them peas, and it will help them so much. They can suffer from neurological disorders and have problems with walking and have problems with holding their heads up if you don't supplement their diet in this manner. And so these are things that a lot of people know, but if you're on the outside, nobody at the feed store told me when I bought the ducks that I needed to feed them peas. And so I guess that's kind of how and why anthropologists participate in order to learn this insider information that groups just kind of figure is the way life is. And for those of us on the outside, it's fantastic knowledge to have. When I originally started this research into food and farming, my husband and I were selling our houses and moving into one house together. We had gotten married and we needed to downsize. And my husband found the farm. And I originally thought it was not such a great idea, but through farming, not only have I done excellent research and collected data that I could have never gotten before. But I've learned so much that has made my quality of life and my relationship with my family and those around me so much better. And I believe that this is something that everyone can benefit from if you approach it in the right manner. And definitely learning from all of these different farmers at once was the right manner for me. I think that there's other ways that this blog can serve a purpose in teaching people different ways that you can make things and different ways that you can look at animals and our relationship with food. But those will be later on posts, and those will be things that come out of other blogs. For right now, the real point of this introduction is to welcome you to my blog and to, hopefully make some good posts. Welcome.